Hobeiche's Nudist Revolution. How Sheikh Fouad Hobeiche bridged cultures to foster Arab nudism in 1930s Lebanon. By Carl Hild, Ph.D. Only a small minority of the population has embraced the concept and practice of social nakedness, except for community bathing in China prior to 1000 CE, and in Korea and Japan from then to the mid-1800s. While many authors have envisioned utopian or ideal settings for social nakedness, these ideas were typically practiced by small, isolated groups. Over the past 2 millennia, the process of multicultural engagement for learning and understanding, has been applied. Thanks to Xuanzang for bringing the gymnosophists' ideas from India to China, and to Dosho for introducing public baths with social nakedness from China to Japan. Additionally, thanks to Edward Carpenter, John Russell Coriel, Fritjof Vedel Jarlsberg Nansen, and Walt Whitman, whose Western perspectives and keen observational skills help document Eastern experiences. Their writings and conceptualizations of different cultural values have positively contributed to the literature, making modern nudism, while Western-grown, fundamentally influenced by Eastern ideas. If names are to be listed as the progenitors of modern nudism, naturism, and social nakedness activities, then clearly, they need to include Carpenter, Coriel, Nansen, and Whitman. Hobeiche's contributions. Taking literally foreign concepts and translating them into one's native language in a culturally appropriate manner is a burden and an uncommon feat. It is Melu. In 1930, the same year as when Timothy Wang (1882 to unknown) of China was in Europe and translated others' nudist experiences as well as writing about his own adventures in Chinese, Sheikh Fouad Hobeiche (1904 to 1973) translated into Arabic a series of publications that had first appeared in French. In 1934, he then began to publish a regular newsletter, The Revealed, in his hometown of Beirut, Lebanon, and did so for over a decade. The ideas of German nudism, as experienced by a French adventurer, became the seed for the practice of social nakedness in the Middle East. Holla Bizri recounts this remarkable story in The Nudism of Sheikh Fouad Hobeiche in 2012, which appears as a chapter in Art, Awakening, and Modernity in the Middle East, The Arab Nude, edited by Octavian Isanu. Hobeiche took French materials about a visit to German nudist camps, and while translating them into Arabic, he was sharing them with communities in the Middle East. The culture receiving the message was very different than the source, although the French had been the colonial power in Lebanon since the fall of the Ottoman Empire and the end of the First World War. There was some grounding and familiarity with the French at that time. These associations even led to the common name for Beirut as the Paris of the Middle East. Bizri reports that Hobeiche's philosophy was reflected in the title of his newsletter. The publication was al-Makshuf, The Revealed. He revealed information about not only practices that were taking place around the globe, but also implied the activity of being honest about one's own body, and that through social nakedness, such forthrightness be revealed, or to denude the topic. He wanted not only the social nakedness of the body, but also the capacity to question other cultural and historic conventions. He wanted to see advancement in his homeland on many fronts. He called his newspaper and publishing house al-Makshuf in keeping with his revelatory writings. Translating and spreading nudist ideas. French writer Louis-Charles Royer wrote Au Pays des Hommes Nus, in the Country of Nudists, as a series of articles in a Paris paper in 1929. Royer recounted his travels in Germany while he was convalescing. Nudism offered him a way to foster his health and obtain new insights into life in nature. Family-friendly social nakedness was a healthy practice for mind and body. Hobeiche actively read the Parisian papers for ideas he could foster in Lebanon. In 1930, Hobeiche was translating and publishing Royer's pieces in Al-Tahrir. The Free. He published all of Royer's accounts in a new book with a new title, Rasul al-Talhuri, The Messenger of Nudism, in which he also boldly expressed his opinions. From the title, Hobeiche became known as the messenger of nudism in the Middle East. Kerstin Scheid wrote Looking at as Nudes, a study of a space of imagination as Chapter 6 in Fashioning the Modern Middle East, Gender, Body, and Nation in 2021. In it, she commented on Hobeiche. who was a young writer who immersed himself in his topics and wrote about them in personal terms. Hobeiche also added his own commentary and experiences in with Royer's travelogue when he published it. Take Hobeiche's reflection from Rasul al-Turi. The italics are his. This summer, I wanted to try experiencing the life of nudism myself. So a friend and I spent 20 days on the beach of Imshit completely naked, bathing in the sea, exposing our bodies to the sun rays and air currents, and exercising our muscles at the oars. We gained health, vigor, peace of mind, clarity of thought, which secured our spending the winter season in a state of physical and mental blessedness which neither the visitors of Alari and Sufa nor the frequenters of tea parties and all-night shindigs have ever known. The publication of the book was a scandal. It challenged sexual, moral, as well as religious tenets. In 1930, he also published in Al-Mahrid, the exhibition newspaper, an article about nudism. This included a reference to Plutarch, c. 45-120 CE, who had promoted nudity in Greece, especially among young people. Hobeiche wrote, "Nudism is a simple remedy, which physical medicine finally discovered after having long disregarded and scorned it. Indeed, experience has shown that clothing is harmful to the body, and that sunshine and fresh air contain necessary vital elements. They decided to dispense with clothing at certain times, and expose all parts of the body to the light, sunshine, and open air. People's faith in religion and moral codes diminished, and they boldly began to satisfy their repressed physical desires. Just as Christianity delivered humanity 2,000 years ago, so shall nudism deliver humanity itself from what Christianity delivered it from, passing through one of the stages on the road to attaining the ideal." Alois Knapp, an American nudist pioneer in the 1930s, stated, "Nudism is the greatest social revolution in 2,000 years." Hobeiche saw such practices as assisting parents with sex education. It is certain that nudism, instead of arousing people's animal desires, cultivates a sense of beauty within them, beyond what can be done by teaching biological reproduction, which is difficult for parents and educators to impart to young people in this day and age. Bizri reports that one of Hobeiche's peers and supporters, Khalil Taqi Teddin, wrote, "Nudist literature is true, live literature, and classic Arabic literature is timeless literature because it is naked, revelatory Makshuf literature." Evolution of Hobeiche's views. Hobeiche was honored for being so forthright on a number of social topics, including homosexuality and the rights of women. However, by 1945, he was reversing some of his long-held and controversial positions on women's roles. He wrote that perhaps women still need to be focused on the home and children so as not to seek professional positions in society. Bizri concludes the chapter with a suggestion that perhaps Hobeiche was not so egalitarian. While his publications showed naked females, they mostly contained clothed or at least strategically covered males. Perhaps as he saw more of the world, including the Arab world, his positions began to change. Getting married and having his own children may have also tempered his passion for nudism. Hobeiche wrote in 1945, "If Lebanese women learned what women in the rest of the world, who enjoy their rights, have and continue to suffer from, they would prefer to keep the power they have now instead of exchanging it for another type of power." Perhaps Hobeiche's reading of Parisian papers opened his youthful eyes and mind and enabled him to bring social nakedness to Lebanon. His writings supported other authors and artists, as reported in Art, Awakening, and Modernity in the Middle East, The Arab Nude, edited by Octavian Isanu. The 15 years between 1930 and 1945 were opportunities to advance new concepts, but after yet another world war, the desire for a foundation of stability from the past offered a way forward. There was a spark that almost caused the region to burst forward with a new sense of the human body. Another spark that had previously lit the region was of a painter, Khalil Gibran. 1883 to 1931, his capturing of the nude became central to his later, world-known book, The Prophet. Those ideas, thoughts and images have circulated around the globe with warm reception. We hope you're enjoying Planet Nude. If so, please consider a paid subscription. Your membership comes with exclusive content and supports our work. Subscribe at www.planetnude.co. This episode of Planet Nude podcast is sponsored by the Naturist Education Foundation, supporting naturist initiatives and preserving naturist history. Learn more at www.naturisteducation.org.